Warriors Fan TV here with the Z Tank 99 and Tyrone for the recap of round 6. Knights versus the Warriors. Knights came away with the W, 34 to the Knights, 24 to the Warriors. Bit different this week, guys. We've got Z Tank 99. If you don't know who he is, I'm going to leave his link in the description down below. If you're an NRL fan, you need to know who Z Tank 99 is. Thanks so much for coming on the show, Z Tank 99.
Yeah, no worries, man. Great to be here.
All good. And we've got Ty back again. Kōrero mai e hoa, how are you feeling after the flight back to New Zealand?
No, feeling good. Would have felt better with the Warriors win, but hey, you can't have everything, eh?
So look, just gonna jump into it, guys. We've had a couple of days analyze what happened last Sunday, Easter Sunday, by the way, here in New Zealand. So not many places were having the game on. 10-point difference in the score lines. Adam Pompey crossed over for 2. Kosi again gets on the score sheet. Jackson Ford. Look, I'm just loving this guy week in, week out. But over on the other side, Dom Young, 5 minutes. I think the Sharks, it took the Sharks 3 minutes. So we're getting better at, increasing that by 2 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4 tries to the Knights before the halftime whistle. But just coming to you first, Ty. Thoughts on the game?
Yeah, first thoughts. Obviously, with the start, it's been a repetitive pattern over the last couple of games, right? It is concerning because like you said, it was 2 minutes more this week, but it's still in the first 10 minutes, and I think there's obviously a lot the boys need to work on, and I'm sure the management are already telling them to start off great or do things to prepare to start off great. So we have to start there, and I think what it's kind of a thing that Warriors have always gone through is that we start off real bad and then we always have to play this catch-up game. What I am loving though is that the Warriors throughout the whole game still look composed. So even though we were down quite a bit at one point, the Warriors did well to kind of get back into it and didn't look too frustrated, didn't look too out of the game. So there are definitely a lot of positive signs, but yeah, that start still not looking good.
No, it's not, bro. We'll get into that in just a second as well, but I just want to flip it over to Z Tank 99. What I saw, bro, was a very confident team. A team playing eyes up footy, front foot footy, slick passing, and obviously, the week before the Sharks showed the world what happens when we get out when the opposition get out to the edges. There's tries on the edges, right? So I would imagine that whole week it was a bit of a drilling of if we can get it down to this end of the field and we run that play out to the edges. Dom Young, what a talent, what an absolute talent, and unfortunately he's leaving you guys for the bright lights of Sydney. But anyway, what was your kind of initial thoughts on the game on the weekend?
Yeah, it was started the first half going into it very well, and it's like it is good to from a Knights perspective. It's probably not for you guys from looking for the match, but it was good, like we said, with confidence, and it's like we are actually playing like an attacker style football. It's like we're not so much on the back foot as we've been for the last couple of years. Yeah, like I said, Dominic Young's going very well this year, especially since like he got dropped for after the Dolphins game, came back and scored was like 3 or 4 tries against Manly, and now he's ongoing with the form. But I think Marju as well is coming in because he's missed out the first couple of weeks and then got dropped in to play, I believe it was against Canberra, and he's just been on fire ever since. And it's good to see that we can score consistently on our wings from the first half. But second half, it was around half time when it was 22-6. I was like, because I had the thought at the back of my head of obviously the Warriors coming back against the Sharks last week, and I was like, okay, we're in a good position. We can't let them back into the game, and the Knights let them back into the game a bit. And I was like, oh, here we go. But Knights were just able to hold out, and like I think it was Kurt Mann that went over, which popped me because he's one of my favorite players just because consistent worker at the lock, and he dived over and Knights, and then Marju went over again. I think it was about with 15 to go to pretty much seal it. But I think it was a good showing. There was some good takeaways from both teams. Yeah, happy with the win, but obviously with Brayley being injured now, being out, it's going to be a little bit of a question of what goes on for the rest of the year.
Young, who's leaving, give us your thoughts on why he's leaving, because a lot of us probably don't know why he's leaving, but what's your take?
The paper bag, brown paper bag.
I mean, the Knights did try to re-sign him, but I think out of all the clubs that were going for him, the Knights were the lowest bidding one. I know South were going for him. I think it was arguably the most sought after player coming off contract, probably in the NRL in terms of wingers. And yeah, Roosters wanted him. I thought he was going to leave immediately, because there was talks that the Knights wanted to actually trade, so he would actually leave at the right pretty much almost immediately. But he wants to stay for the final year of his contract, and I think we should be covered, because we're getting Kai Pearce-Paul and I believe it's Will Price, who are two young blokes over from England. So I think we should be all right there. But yeah, I mean, it's a tough situation. Newcastle can't compete with the money with Sydney, so it's one of those things you got to cop on the chin sometimes.
As a Warrior supporter, we know about losing talent. But kind of coming back to yourself, Ty. Look, what's management going to do, man? Because we've got a team coming here who's going to be quite desperate. They're coming from 2 losses. Knights and Sharks have shown the blueprint. Do this and you will score tries. From your perspective, what do we need to do, bro?
Yeah, good question. I don't want to start off with an excuse, but I think it does lay a bit of context. We've been missing a lot of forwards. Mitchell, Barnett, someone that would have loved to turn out against the Knights again. Obviously, Tohu wasn't there. We had a few people missing. Now, the great thing is that we've had a bit of depth, compared to other years. So I think the boys have stuck in there and done really well. But I can really tell in terms of, I guess, adding a bit of not just attacking strike, but just some stability and some, adding a bit of fear when you have some of those boys on. So I think not having that, I think the Warriors are, doing well to deal with the players that they've got in front of them. I thought we missed Nicoll-Klokstad too, in terms of second row, just being there, not just punching into the line, but even just creating a defensive fear of going wide. Second rows can actually kind of come up, press, and create a bit of fear of going out there, because you don't want to get whacked if you kind of dig too far into that line. So I think we just missed a bit of that when watching the game. Obviously, things that we could work on are the errors. There was a few, I guess, penalties, boys just being over Egan. I think one was on Johnson when he not shot out, but he got out on the line and got a penalty 10 meters for being offside. So those are things that players should focus on and control. But I think the management's doing well with what they've got in front of them, and I think they've put Walker into 6 this week, so that'll be interesting. There's a question: do they have not enough confidence in someone like Volkman to jump in there and keep Walker doing his role? So yeah, seems like the Warriors are saying we need to maybe add a bit more maturity to our backline to fix that up. But I think a little bit's got to do with our missing forwards. There no Egan there too. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, like I said in the beginning, right? We've had a few days to kind of analyze what happened, and I have actually watched the game back as well. And it's always, and the reason why I started this channel, right, is to get people's reactions straight after the game. Right outside the stadium when emotions are high. A couple of weeks ago, we beat Bulldogs, and I did pose the question to someone, right? It's like, were we lucky today? And obviously, Warrior supporters are going to say no, we weren't lucky today, right? Because we won. But I do feel there are some gaps in our game, and that we've got ourselves out of trouble through some brilliances of, well, mostly Shaun Johnson, especially in that Dogs game where he scored that try, and well, obviously with the Sharks game. We can't keep playing like this though, eh? This is not a sustainable way of playing, right? Where you're getting pumped 4 tries in the first half, and then you're having to wrestle your way back into the game. But that is a very common thing that the Warriors have done since a long time, right? Mm-hmm. Had we won that game on the week, this is just really a statement, and you can jump in here and tell me if I'm right or wrong. Had we won that game against the Knights on the weekend, I feel like it wouldn't have been deserved. It wouldn't have been a deserved win, even though we could have won the game. I don't think winning like that is the emotional roller coaster that fans go through, right? Bloody hearts pumping for like 40 minutes in the second half. It's not a sustainable way to play, and I don't think is deserved. What's your thoughts on it, Ty?
Yeah, good question. I hear what you're saying. I think my I guess perspective, I don't think we can expect to win like this all the time, or if we did, if we did manage to win. I only say that is because I do think we lack a bit of depth. Like, Curran got the most tackles for the game, but he's not putting him in that position of, just tackling, like we saw when he came on the Sharks, he was more of an enforcer role, like that role for him just fit. But now you got him out there, workhorse, putting a lot of energy just to tackle a lot of Knights players, and couldn't be as effective. So I feel like in terms of sustainability, I feel like we're having players kind of have to play other people's roles just because we lack a bit of the people that are supposed to be there, and that's just purely injuries, right? So, could we do better to work on our health? I don't know, but you had what's his name, management put 12 players off during their week, so they are focusing on it. So, part of me thinks that it would have been great to win, just because one's better than a loss.
Sure.
But I think for me, just seeing the boys stick in still, that's a great sign. One thing I would have to say, it could have all changed, right? If that disallowed try with Pompey going to the line, that's looking back at it, probably was right call, but really touch and go there. If that was a try, because then that ended up leading to I think a couple sets after that, Knight scored. That was a big swing, so it could have been a lot more closer than it was. So yeah, I think the game could have actually turned into our favor, but actually, like, Knights played well. I think there was one particular play when Kosi ran down the field, and you saw like 6 or 7 Knights players stacking up. Like, that's what Warriors are showing too, and it's great to see Knights showing that, because I think both teams have been the teams that have not shown that for the past years. But now you've got blokes that are just like, if someone's going to break, we're all going to try and get there. So not mad with the loss. I think we Knights deserve to win, but I do think if we had a few different players and a few thing went our way, it could have been a different result too.
Totally, I totally agree with you that the Knights deserve to win. All I'm trying to say is, like, I don't think our win, had we scraped through, 79th minute, scored a try, kicked it over, or whatever. I'm just saying that it wouldn't have felt like we deserved to win by the way that we've been playing and like leaking all those tries. We're consistent with leaking in 4 tries before half time. Let's see what happens come this weekend down Cowboys, which I'll talk to you about later after this corridor. But Z-Tank, Ty touched on Josh Curran making the most tackles. Jaden Brayley put in a shift with 42 tackles, and Josh Curran with 58. He's a workhorse, man. What's your thoughts on him, and where do you see him in the future of the club?
Yeah, I think honestly, Paul, which I don't know if this is a hot take or anything, but I think that Brayley's arguably the most important player the Knights have. I feel like when it came to 2021, he was a key asset of having structure with our attack and our defense in a way. End of 2021, I believe it was like the off season or around the lines, he does his first ACL, and he was out for nearly all of last year. And the team really wasn't the same. There wasn't that structure, and ever since he's been back, he's been playing consistently well. It's very important. It's almost like probably important how like Danny Badiris was to the old Knights teams. He's sort of like a player like that, and just needs to stay healthy and keep him healthy, because I know the Knights have got a bit of a streak at the moment of players not being 100% healthy and keeping away from injuries. But I think he's like a re-sign immediately type player.
Yeah, totally right. You don't want him going to the Roosters either.
You say that now, we probably will.
Cool, man. Well, look, just in closing, there was a question that got raised in one of the fan groups. Someone said, we only lost by 10 points. Last 20, we didn't have our 6 and our 9. And as a depleted Warriors team, they should have won by more. Thoughts on that? Z-Tank?
I do agree with it. I think the Warriors did very well to keep it a very close and competitive game, especially in the last like 20 or so, 30 so minutes when they came back from the first half deficit. So, yeah, I think that is a valid point to take away from the match.
Yeah, I agree. I think to keep it that close, I am impressed by Knights. I think they showed last week against Manly, what they could do. Getting you know to to that position, and then shown against the Warriors. So I do think we played a spirited side in the weekend. Um, I I kind of like to look at games not given it's regular season. I kind of look at games that are we improving, and I think the thing that we can see we're improving on is staying in the game. And that's I think one of the things that haven't had for a while. So I think we're improving, even though we didn't come back and win this game. It's not necessarily about winning it. It's about are we still staying in all the way to the 80? And I could say that the Warriors did still stay in it. Unfortunately, not everything went our way. And I do think Knights did play better in areas. So yeah, 10 points is not a bad discrepancy in terms of scoreline. But for me, in terms of measuring, are we doing better? It's looking at it in conjunction with all the games previous to it, and I do think we're taking steps forward. It's just that start. We got to rectify that start.
And edges.
Edges, but I think the edges are when the middle's folding a little bit. That's why I'm big on the forwards, not having that personnel there. Then the backs have to come in. So yes, the edges could stay wider, but then we're going to get more tries through the middle, and that's what Kurt Mann and that did right. Once they kind of rectified the outsides, you got the boys that went inside. You got Phoenix Crossland. They did a grubber and he got their balls because the boys are starting to fan out. So yeah, for me, I think it's missing a bit of strength in the forwards, which then gives confidence to the backs. And then it would have worked out a bit better. But hey, you got to play what plays you got around you. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm like you, man. Like I look at this team as a 3-year team. I look at this, if this year we finish outside the top 8, as long as we're getting better week in week out, and we can see that, and we've got some players in that under 21 team knocking on the door. So we be said in the post conference, in the post interview, there is a cultural change. There is a lot of stuff going on, and we can't expect to pull a magic bunny out of the hat every single game and win by 1 or 2 points. So as long as we're progressing, man, I'm excited for the future. I really am, as a Warriors fan, massively excited for the future. Over to you, Tank99. You got Panthers coming up next. Give us your. Tell me, what do you think is gonna
I mean, it's Penrith. I mean, like it's what I said in my tips. It's like I think I don't think it'll be as bad as when they came up here last year, where I think I can't remember what the score was, but I remember it was just an absolute demolishing. But I mean, it's still fairly adamant we are probably say like 18, something like that. It's Penrith is just a team, like even if they have like one player bow out, they have like the perfect player set up because their recruitment system and they won everything last year, like including like Jersey Flag, New South Wales Cup, State Championship. It's like they've just got so many talented players they can bring in. It's going to be a rough one, but as long as we can stay in the game and not let it just like 50 points or whatever, I think it would be a success. Interesting to see because I know Crossland, who played 5'8" against the Warriors, he'll be moving to pretty much hooker for the rest of the season now, which he has been playing majority of his games when he has played. Interesting to see because will be playing out of position, and usually when he is playing at hooker, he kind of is a bit of a scapegoat for like a fair amount of Knights fans. But I mean, he's still like really young, so it is pretty much now it's a proper trial by fire. But I think I don't really expect us to win. If any Knights fan thinks they're expecting to win, is I like to have what they're on. But yeah, it's one of those games you just got to bunker down and hope it's not too bad.
Sounds like yeah, it sounds horrible. Bunker down and hope it's not too bad. Ty, did you catch any of the Penrith Manly game?
I caught a bit of it. Managed to watch more the highlights.
Mm.
And
Wasn't
yeah,
pretty.
nah,
Wasn't pretty, man.
wasn't pretty. Penrith
You know,
finding their strides, and to what Zed Tank said, Penrith has just got so much depth, and I think that was one of their struggles for the first rounds, was just trying to get the right fits and feel like they're getting their fit right. So yeah, it might be a tough one. I'm glad we're playing Cowboys instead of Penrith this week. Put it that way.
well, that segues beautifully, man. Because I'm gonna be real with you, bro. I'm worried about this game. I'm genuinely like, even the game on the weekend, I was like kind of 50-50, right? I'm worried about this game, bro. They're coming off 2 losses. Got beaten 10 points by the Dolphins, and then they just got edged by the Dogs. All right, so I'm worried about this game, bro. What's your take on this one? We've got a depleted team. We got our sixes now. Walks, who was used as an interchange impact player. He's now going to be yeah. So what's your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I think this was going to be a little bit of a tough one too. They've got some players missing as well. They've got Mitchell Dunn that's jumping in at prop. Um, so not the usual starter at prop, but he did all right. He does all right, I mean. And then they've got I don't know if Scott Drinkwater played last week. He might have,
Mm.
but he's back there instead of Tom Chester when they played against us. So they've got a bit more. They've got someone that's not there, and they've got someone that's addition. I do like Dylan Walker playing at 6. I've actually liked him coming at 14, but I want to see what kind of flourishes from their combination. Obviously the backs are the same. It's our forwards, it's do we have enough power, or not even just power? Do we strike enough fear into the opposition's eyes? I don't know. I'm just gonna be totally honest, and I feel like it's gonna be one in the forwards, and they've only got one forward out. The Cowboys lineup, man, they've got their full team coming. And I do like they've got Riley Price, so I know that they played the Bulldogs last week, which is quite significant for Riley because his dad played for the Bulldogs, but now they're versing the Warriors, which obviously Steve was a big part of our Warriors. So there's something really cool about watching this game and seeing someone like him come through and play us. But yeah, I think we could go down in this game. I'm not overly confident. I'm still confident that we could get a dub, just because there's a lot of consistency in the playing group that we've had. But yeah, the forwards are going to get tested. That's for sure.
Yeah. So Tohu Harris, if you hadn't seen the team list has been named. Whether or not he's going to be fit enough to run on the field with everybody else, but that's we're going to see what happens, right? On Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon. So we're going to play, and then the Knights are going to play. So fingers crossed, we're gonna get the W. You guys might do one over the Panthers. Yeah.
I like it. I wish I had your confidence.
Exactly. But guys, I'm wrapping it up there. Appreciate your guys' time, and up the Wars.
Up the Warriors.